Hey guys, here's Louis. So we are moving forward with the 68 Firebird project, the bird that came back from the dead, as I call her. So this is the next step. I'm going to start working on the deck lid over here. I want to share a strategy that have worked for me when I was doing my 67, also when I was restoring my 69 Firebird. She's not here because I ran out of space, but I do have her outside in a carport, enclosed carport. This strategy works for me all the time because sometimes you could be overwhelmed with working on these cars. If it's some sheet metal work, body work, or electrical, or putting the motor together, anything like that. Anyway, what I like to do is if I don't have a lot of time on my hands, I always said if you dedicate an hour to 2 hours a day, you could get a whole lot done by the end of the week. Okay. And if you got a little tired and sick and tired of doing, let's say, sheet metal work, you can move on to electrical work. That's what I do. So I like to sometimes jump around because sometimes you get tired of cutting up metal, welding metal, and shaping metal, whatever it takes to get the job done. You know what I mean? So you can move on to a different area of your project. That's what I'm trying to say. If today you don't feel up to doing some sheet metal work, well, maybe you want to fix a wire harness that belongs to the car, or something in the interior, or exhaust, or in the engine bay, something that is a little different. Okay, so moving along, my next step will be this original deck lid on the car. So since this deck lid is the original to the car, to me that means enough that I should save this deck lid. If I wanted to go the easy way out, I have two options. Either you order a new one, a reproduction, or I get one from my extra Pontiac parts that I have laying around, which I do have an extra deck lid. But that one I will be saving for a future project. Now, this deck lid here, I already took out a dent. This was actually pushed all the way in, and I use a stud gun and pull her out. Okay, sometimes when you use a stud gun, it leaves little holes that you have to wall up. Sometimes, not all the time. There was a little, it was also right here, dented in. This is the P that goes in here to spell the word Pontiac, which was on the deck lid for 67 and 68 only. Okay, this is surface rust, so this is pretty easy to get rid of. I will get rid of it by sanding it down. So when she got whacked in her life, somewhere down that line, she got whacked. I don't know if you guys could see it or not, but she's pretty wavy. This line right here, this lip is pretty wavy. I have to fix that. I have to also knock it on this side out. Okay. And what's really cool about these original deck lids on these first generation Firebirds 67 and 68 are these oval cutouts. Hope you guys can see that. I know the light is a little bit in the way here, but they are oval cutouts. Okay, they have oval like stampings where the word Pontiac, the emblem, will go through. The reproduction does not make it. At one time, somebody did tell me they was making it the correct way, but that has stopped. Okay, and these deck lids get real rusty on this side, which is the back of it. Behind this sheet metal, of course, this is bended, this is folded and spot welded, or from the factory. it gets rusty. So every time I'm closing, opening this and closing and shutting it down, the scale, the loose rust keeps coming inside my brand new trunk floor. And I don't want to finish this whole car and have that issue, because that'll be terrible. Okay, I have some rust repairs to do here, some rust repairs there, rust repair over here, you know, and to me it's just worth saving. So this is my idea. I'm taping it because I'm going to try to stay on this side right here. Follow the line of the tape, go all around and just cut it with a cutoff wheel and see how she looks from the inside. Okay guys, so I took off the deck lid from the 68 Firebird, and it's really cool that she's able to drive and move on her own power. I don't have to push her out the garage. I don't have to push her back inside the garage. So believe me, it feels a whole lot better on my body. All right, so this is what I'm facing here. Rust repair is going to be done here. Or rust repair is going to be done here. This oval shape here is factory. Just going to fix what's messed up. Have another one here. Another one over here. Okay. But that's about it for this side. Of course, clean out the lip. Okay, put a rust converter, then a primer on there, and I'll be ready to go. So this is the plan. I drew a black line here. I'm gonna go around with the cutting wheel. Well, take my time, cut it all around, and peel her off. And we shall see what a first gen Firebird trunk lid looks on the other side. And if you guys ever wonder what this cutout is for, and that little hole right there is for a trunk lamp. Okay, the original trunk lamp on these cars go right here, and I believe the correct term they used back in the day when this came out, when this car came out, is luggage lamp. All right guys, so let's see what's on the other side of the 1968 Firebird deck lid. All right guys, so my weapon of choice to deattach this part of the deck lid from the deck lid itself, the inner from the deck lid itself, so far, and it's working great, is this cutoff wheel with my air compressor and this mini auto body Sawzall that you guys could get in Harvest Freight for a reasonable price, and it works great. Just don't buy the cheap blade, buy the good blades, like they Bauer blades. You know, you're gonna pay a little more, but it's worth it. So what I am doing, all right, if you guys ever decide to do this, is I'm cutting right here. I'm going and I'm coming back and I'm cutting again. I'll pass it about 2 to 3 times, which makes the metal thinner. And once you have an opening that Sawzall blade of that cutoff tool over there fits in, since you did a couple of passes with this cutoff wheel, the metal is way less thicker than originally it was, because you was cutting away some layers already. And she fits in, the Sawzall blade one fits right in, and as you go, she cuts like butter. And I'm liking this because when it's time to wall up, look at that. It was going to wall up really nice and beautiful. So far so good. Let me keep on going. I do not film when I'm cutting because it's annoying, and when you guys are watching the video, I know it's really loud. So guys, I cut all around where I drew my black line with the marker. Okay. Now let's see, how does this look? Oh, there you go. There you go, guys. That's the inside. And she's pretty rusty. So you see all that rust in there? It looks like a little powder, like a little debris buildup there. Every time I was opening and closing my deck lid, a whole lot of flakes of rust was falling in on the back floor of the deck lid, and I didn't want that to keep on happening, especially when I have this car all finished and painted and ready to drive it and show it off in car shows, you know, and you have that rust coming out. It's no good. So now my next plan is to sand this all down, wire wheel it all down, and spray some rust converter on it, do the repairs that I have to do, the rust repairs that I have to do, and weld everything right up. But that is going to be on the next video, guys. I do not want to make long videos. I really don't think there's nobody out there that wanted to see long videos, so I'm gonna try to make this a 2 to maybe even 3-part videos on the deck lid for the 68 Firebird, the bird that came back from the dead. So stay tuned. Bye bye. This is part 2 of 3. All right, guys. So after I cut the deck lid, one side, the inner side is inside the car for now. So now this is my next move. Always when you are going to attack any project on your car, think about it. Take a step back and take a good look at it and try to figure out some strategies, and you will come out with the best strategy that could be taken for the next move. So all this, I will be sanding it down, okay, all this rust, and I'm going to shoot a primer that it is for direct to metal. Okay, the reason I like it because it's not that expensive. Everybody has different choices of the primers they like to use, and I have my choices, the ones that I like to use. It's not that expensive and does the job. It never reacted and came back to bite me in the rear end. It worked. It did its job, so I keep using it. So I'm going to shoot that primer that is also used for direct metal for, well, at least in my lifetime. I know that I ain't gonna have to worry about rust coming back. Okay, now if you guys remember seeing in the beginning of the video, I show you that this deck lid was very wavy on the lip, which you usually put your hands to lift it up. I banged some of it out already. I banged some of the dents on the other side, and look what I have here. So I have a piece of angle iron, okay, very thick piece of angle iron, and lucky enough the Firebird lip on the deck lid is pretty straight. It's pretty straight. That guy is not really curvy or anything like that. It's pretty straight on. So if you guys could see, it's a gap. It's a gap right there. You guys can see the light of the garage right there. You see my hands waving on the other side. So I have here a body hammer, and I'm just gonna knock it so I don't see this gap no more. And let's see how straight I could possibly get this. I want you guys to remember something and think about it. All right, I did not know better when I started this hobby on my own. You live and you learn. In this hobby, if you're brave enough to pick up the tools and run with it, you will learn. You will learn a whole lot of things from trial and error also. Believe me. Guys, when you are hitting your metal with your body hammer, when you're going to hit it, Don't hit it so hard like you're trying to break the thing or you're trying to dent it, you know, or anything. You'll be surprised how much metal moves when you strike it. You'll be surprised when any little tap, how that metal just moves. Okay, so just tap it, you know. We're talking about deck lid here. We're not talking about frame or anything like that. And you will see. All right, guys. And now this lip is much more better. Okay, more straight. If you guys remember, there was light shining down when I put the angle iron. Okay, you can't see nothing now. She had a nasty dent right there. Okay, came out beautiful. All right, and that's my whole point of this repair here, trying to save an original panel. Okay, a little effort, little work, you are able to do it. Okay, now to fix this, which is very loose rust, is like scaly. All right, I am going to be sanding this down. I'm going to use wire wheel first. I'm going to use sandpaper, put a rust converter. Okay, that's the oval shapes I was talking about, the stampings that are oval, stamped out original deck lid 67 68 only, have it straight going down from the P all the way down to spell Pontiac. All right, that's when you know you have an original deck lid. So now that I have welded everything up, of course comes the next process, and sheet metal work is grinding all the welds. She's coming nice and smooth. I will put a little light coat of filler on this and sand it smooth for any imperfections. And so far so good with the trunk lid. A little bit more work to keep going, and then after I finish grinding all the welds down, I will sand all this paint off and start the priming job. Okay, so now on the trunk deck lid, I'm on to this part. So this is the back part flipped upside down. So I used the wire wheel on the electrical drill there, and I did half for you guys could just see the difference. So I did from this half on. Look at how nice that's coming out. And I went also over it with believe it's 220 grit sandpaper, okay, just to make it a little bit smooth. And once I finish this side, I'll wash everything down with rubbing alcohol, okay, make sure she's nice and clean. Then I'll spray a rust converter, and from there I put a primer on it. So far so good. These are the very important steps that sometimes you just have to take, the extra steps you have to take when it comes to restoring a car. Guys, you're not gonna buy a car or a classic car that needs a whole lot of restoration and is gonna get built by itself or magically just happens. No. Okay, and when it's like a whole bunch of guys attacking the car, there's 5 guys like in a restoration body shop or something, but when it's only a one-man show, guess what? I ain't gonna lie, it's going to be a lot of work, but the more you do it, the better you get. Me doing the patchwork on this deck lid Believe me, that was the easy part for me. Cutting the metal, shaping the metal, welding the metal, grinding the metal. That was the easy part. The hard part was taking all the paint off. Okay, and I still gonna pass 80 grit sandpaper on all of this and make it nice and smooth. All right, these are the extra little steps you have to take. All right, and if you see here, these are stamping numbers for original deck lid, 67 and 68. So it's very important. All right, I still have a little metal work to do, little small hoses, pinholes here and there, and finish sanding this part, priming it. Then I'll put it back on the deck lid itself. Also sand this down, prime this, and weld everything going around. Stay tuned to see the finished product. With part 3 of restoring the 68 Firebird deck lid, the final part. Here it goes. All right, guys. So now, after using the wire wheel over the inside of the deck lid and going over that with about 220 sandpaper and cleaning it all up and wiping it down with alcohol, rubbing alcohol, I spray a rust converter that I am very pleased with, which is this one. You guys could go and pick it up at Harbor's Freight. So far so good, can't beat it. Okay, I have used the Eastwood brand, I have used the Rust-Oleum brand, and I am pleased with the Eastwood and the Harbor's Freight brand. The Rust-Oleum brand, I'm not a big fan of it. So now next step is to turn this panel over and sand it down with 80 grit sandpaper. Okay, smooth things out, because I did remove all the paint. Okay, almost all of it, but once I hit it with 80 grit, all of it will be off. And I'm just using a cheap here sander, electrical sander, because I do have a DA, but I need to be cranking up the air compressor all the time, and this is a small project, so I just use that. And to get the paint off the deck lid, this is what I use. This is also from Harbor's Freight. Okay, is a hand electrical belt sander. All right, this is 40 grit. Okay, I have used 36 grit also. And what I like to do when I'm going to take off some paint using this tool is that this belt usually have to ride right here on this wheel, right? But if you just set it perfectly, a little offset, look at that, you see, she's offset there. If you see the wheel, there's some space here, that means she's offset, she's more pushed this way out. The belt is pushed out a little bit, and you just go over it, okay, over the panel, side like this, side to side. She'll start stripping the paint off. Remember, you are not trying to grind wells down, spot wells or wells down, so you don't have to put too much force into the machine, too much pressure. All right, you just lightly doing it. If you seen sparks coming out while the belt is spinning, that means you're going too hard into the panel and now you're taking off metal. But if you do it just right, practice on something else before you hit your panel, and you get to learn this tool, how to use this tool pretty good, believe me, it'll make your life easier and it'll move the project along, and you won't be so frustrated of taking off paint off a panel. Okay guys, so now I'm in the process of sanding down the filler that I laid down. This is the back of the trunk lid. Okay, so this is the part that's behind that you're not able to see it once it's welded on to the lid itself. This is the inner structure and inside of the inner structure. So wherever I weld, I put some of the reinforcement fiberglass filler, which is that waterproof stuff. Okay, stronger, the stuff that is stronger than Bondo is put on. I will sand it smooth and then prime. This whole panel is ready for primer. So far so good. All right, now I am up to the deck lid itself. Okay, the part that comes in here, which is the bottom of the deck lid facing the floor of your trunk once you close it, is pretty much done and primed. Now I'm going to prime this. This is the opportunity now that I have to prime this part, because once I lay down the other part and I weld it all around shut, game over. I'm not able to prime it no more. So I'm going to protect it from rust again. I did spray a rust converter, so it's turning black as it's getting dried. And I will spray the primer on, and then I'm going to spray the primer here. I did sand the paint. Okay, the rest of this I will sand down once I have it welded. So once the two parts become one again, I will start sanding the paint down more. But over here at this edge is where the Pontiac letters go. As you can see, the holes over here, that's for the Pontiac letters. I'm pretty comfortable where I have it there. I wire wheeled it. Okay, I also sanded with 40 grit, and I went down to 80 grit, and I also sprayed the rust converter. So now I'm just waiting a little bit for it to dry, and I'll start priming this area. And the reason I'm going to prime this first is because since it's pitted from the rust, I would like to build up the primer until it looks smooth, and maybe my last 3 coats I'll do as one. All right, moving right along. Here is the deck lid. I did sand around the whole deck lid, the paint down to a smooth finish. Okay, even at this stage, she's pretty safe to spray primer on it, and it's have enough tooth to stick. All right, I also have bare metal in certain spots. Now, if you guys can remember where the slotted, those original slotted cutouts that I told you is for the word Pontiac that gets bolted on to these deck lids on 67 and 68 Firebird. They came out nice. I used a very heavy primer to fill in any little pits that the rust left behind. Okay, and I also primed the deck lid. This is the only time I have open to prime in here. Now I'm gonna set the other half of the deck lid on top, and time to weld all around. So it's welding time now. So I'm getting ready to sit the back part of the deck lid here, to sit it on so I could start welding all around. Okay guys, if you could remember from the very first video I made on restoring an original deck lid for a first gen Firebird, this happens to be a 68 Firebird which was used on 67 and 68 only. The reason is because the Pontiac letters, the emblems that spell Pontiac, will be bolted here on this side of the deck lid. Okay, on the back side there. So these corners, all four corners, it was chewed up. Okay, it was missing. Some of them had big rust holes. So I just cut some sheet metal, shaped it, gave it the shaping of these corners, welded them in, sand down the whole rust. They had a lot of surface rust here if you follow the videos. Okay, and then I sprayed rust converter, and then I put this primer on. It's a very heavy primer. Okay, I did the same thing to here because I had a lot of scale rust also. And you guys that are into classic cars, you know that when you close your deck lid on a real rusty car that has a rusty deck lid, you will have flakes coming down to your trunk floor. And I didn't want that. You know, I'm going all out on this car. I did so much to this car, and I want to continue doing as best as my ability is to do to have a nice car. All right, so now the next step will be putting this back, okay, which it goes like this. Putting this back, that's the way she's gonna sit, okay, nice and clean. I will address the priming job on this once she's welded all together. All right. I will start spot welding it. Guys, the trick to not warping your metal, the trick of not burning through or anything like that is, so this is my plan for the deck lid. I will give it probably about 3 tacks here, another 3 tacks on that corner, 3 tacks on the next corner, 3 tacks, and I just keep moving around, bouncing around, and that's how you leave a gap in between the sides of your panel, right, for the heat to escape. So by the time I go back around to start where I first started, it should be cool enough, okay, that it's safe to keep welding. We will keep on. I will keep you guys updated on that as I keep going on. I have a little filler here I would like to sand smooth, but I could wait for after I weld her all up. So all right guys, so I started my welding. Like I told you before, that was gonna be the plan, just to spot weld her for she don't move, and also just to get the alignments right, get her nice and straight. Okay, she spot welds, and it also keeps the heat down when you do this. I gave it 3 tacks, couple of tacks, about 3. That's where I stay, 3 tacks. It's gonna be all around till she's welded nice and shut. Okay guys, so here I have the whole trunk lid all welded, going all around. She's all nice and welded. Okay, now is the next process. Of course, you guys know when you finish welding is grinding down your welds. And after I finish grinding down these welds, I am going to put a little filler going around, very little. And then I sand that down in case of any little pinholes. I use a little filler. I use that fiberglass reinforcement filler, which is supposed to be waterproof. So far so good. I have used it in the past and no problems. So that's the next step. I do want to tell you guys, I did not put no video this week so far, which is Thanksgiving week, because I did get sick since last Sunday night. I caught the flu and it really kicked my butt, but thanks God I'm back in the garage and back at it. All right, so I got all my welds nice and grounded. Okay, everything is grounded right straight through. Okay, all around the deck lid here. Now, this is what I use. This is what I use here. Okay, this Bondo glass to go over the wells. I like this one, and this one that do sand a little easier than this one. U-Pull makes it. I made a video of that before. Right now, this is what I have, and this is what I'm going to use, guys. To make it more spreadable, friendlier, you could use a product that is called Plastic Honey. I have used it before in the past. Okay, I don't happen to have none right now in the garage, so I'm just gonna use it like this with the hardener. This is the blue hardener. This is the only hardener I like to use, the blue one. I don't like the red one. Okay, in the past I have used the red one, and I have shared it with buddies of mine that do this kind of job, and I have it bleed through some primers that I have used. Okay, and that's just my experience. When I stopped using it and I started just using the blue, I never had that issue again. Once again, that was my experience with the red hardener. That's why I don't use it no more. Okay, so I only use the blue one. But the next step for the deck lid to be done will be applying this filler, wait for it to dry. It's almost winter here, it's fall, so the day after Thanksgiving. But it's a little cold, and you know when it's cold you have to use a little bit more filler, and when it's warm outside you use less filler because it'll dry real quick on you. Okay, so I'll be spreading this lightly all around. Once that dry, I'll sand this down nice and smooth and do some body work on the other side. I will film that, and pretty much after that is sand everything and primer down. All right, guys, so now I am up to the stage of doing this side, which will be the side that everybody will look and see because it's the outside of the car. So here was really badly damaged. Okay, the car was, it looked like it was hit here, and this all bent in, coming down and in. So she was real crooked here, and this is the lip I had to fix. Okay, it came out nice. I have one last time to sand it. Okay, one more pass of sanding to do, which will be with like 180 grit, and that's the as fine as I go for filler work. Okay, then I just prime over it. Sometimes I even stop at 80 grit, depending how thick you mix your primer, and it will hide the scratches. But this came out really nice, and it's nice and level. Okay, I just have to feather her in a little more, but I'm really happy how it came out. And there's where the Pontiac P, the very first letter of Pontiac, which is P, will be sitting. All right, let me go see if I have it right here. So I am very happy to say she is in, and since she was dented, okay, I had to fix over here some metal by doing some welding, also banging it out, okay, hitting it out, and filler work, of course, to make it really straight. But she was like dented in. The P was kind of like crooked going in, and now she sits nice and level to all the other letters. All right, she's nice and straight, and that makes me happy to see that she's nice and straight. If you guys could see that, it's nice and straight. Okay, she's flush. There ain't no gaps around that letter Pontiac. Once I bolt it down in the back, they get some acorns, it's called, the nuts, to hold it down. Should be ready to go. So one more sanding pass around with 180 grit, and I be priming this whole deck lid, and game over. Put her back on the 68 and move on to the next project. All right, guys, there goes the final product, the final finished masterpiece of the 68 Firebird deck lid. And let me tell you something. I want to make myself clear for everybody out there that is working on their own car. guys like myself, guys like Jonathan at Vinyl Village Garage, and Brian Menson over there at Arrowhead Garage. Guys that just have the basic tools, are not afraid to grab the tools, run with them, and get the job done, okay? This hobby is not for anybody that is not willing to get their hands dirty. Your hands are going to get very dirty and stay dirty. Stay dirty, and that's a good thing when it comes to this hobby. That means you're busy, okay? And yes, I ain't gonna lie, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It's a lot of work, okay? It is a lot of work, but at the end, I think we all do it because we love the hobby, and our goals are to put these beautiful cars back on the road and service, enjoy them, let people enjoy them, okay? I get a kick out of working on them as much as I get when I'm driving them. So the deck lid took me a little longer than I wanted because in the process I did get ill. I had the flu and it kicked my butt. But thanks God Almighty, he don't sleep and he always answers my prayers, and he put me brand new again, and I'm getting there. So I give a lot of thanks to God Almighty for healing me. Now with the 68 Firebird deck lid, as you guys can see, it looks great. Okay, I used the reason she's painted this gray primer. The whole car is not going to be painted this gray. It will be painted that red original color, like that red oxidized primer, is because this primer, it's a little heavier than the other primer, than the red primer, and I just kind of wanted to give it a quick coat of paint just to protect it. The other side, the underside, is not painted all the way. I went around the edge just to protect the wells that I did, and I put a little body filler, and to protect all that, I did put a little paint on it. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I did not shoot it. I used a foam brush. Right now it's cold in Pennsylvania, and mixing paint, letting paint drying and all that stuff doesn't work. The garage don't go below 0, but I don't have no heat here. The garage is a basic car garage, a home garage, and it's insulated. It stays okay to work here for a little bit, but for painting right now, it's not really ideal to be painting. So I just did it with a little foam brush for now. Later I will sand that smooth and then shoot it with paint. Everything will come out nice. But here she goes, and this is the very important part of saving these deck lids. Being an original 68 deck lid, which is the same for 67, is the word Pontiac. That is spot on where it's supposed to go. I have hold in my own hands, I have hold the template that they remake now. They don't remake, you know, but it's an aftermarket template, and it does not go spot on where the words supposed to go. The letters Pontiac, to spell Pontiac, okay? But if you have an original deck lid, believe me, it's gonna be right spot on, okay? I always see that letter T in different places that is not supposed to be. A little bit too much to the left, a little bit much to the right. No, this is right. So it's worth saving. Okay, I'm very happy so far with the gaps and all that, which I focus on that a little bit later, but the deck lid is back on. She is awesome. She came out nice. There goes that side. This is where I welded all around here. Okay, all around she is welded. She came out, I mean, awesome. I'm very happy how everything came out. Like I said, I just used a foam brush just to protect the metal going around. Later on, I will sand that smooth, and then I'll shoot it with paint the right way, and everything will come out nice and smooth. But if you take a look, you see where all this was all rusty and stuff. She's nice and clean now, nice and solid. And the words Pontiac are right there. So nice to have something clean and nice. And those are your cutouts. You see the cutouts for the word Pontiac? The aftermarket do not have that. Okay, that's why it's so important to try to save these beautiful original panels. So the question is, would I do this all over again if I had to save? Yes, to save an original panel, I will go through it all over again. Because let's face it, I do love metal work also. But it's not about so much about that. It's so much about trying to save the original panel to put it on an original car. And look, I gave it another life. Somebody else will probably just have scrapped it and throw it away, because it's sadly to say we live in a throwaway society now. But there you go, guys. So it is possible. All right, there ain't nothing special about me that all of you out there could do. You guys could do the same. Just get your hands dirty, and the more you do it, the better you're gonna get. Now, the next coming up video for first generation garage, since I installed the 200R4 with Jonathan on this car with the Pontiac 350 motor, there is brackets that you guys are gonna need for the TV cable. There is brackets, and it's very important, because if you don't have it all lined up the right way and working the right way, you will burn this transmission instantly. They said it will just burn up. Okay, so this is the new video that will be upcoming. These are the brackets, and I got it from Jegs. I'll make a video shortly, guys. Thank you for staying tuned. Thank you for following. Thank you for your new subscribers. And little by little, the Firebird is getting done.